Good morning, YouTube. My name is Justin. I run this channel here called Bike and Bird, where we do everything from gear reviews, bike builds, group rides, you name it. If that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and punch that subscribe button right there so you don't miss anything. Today we're going to be reviewing the first manufacturing Cutlass jacket. Let's get into it. If you've seen any of my reviews in the past, you know that I like to run down the features of the product and then give you my personal opinion on what I feel is an accurate assessment of each one of the categories within that product. So, like I mentioned, this is the first manufacturing denim leather jacket called the Cutlass. This vest portion is what's called rough neck denim. It starts off very firm, but over time it does break in. And then on the sleeves features real authentic leather, basically same thing. Starts off really stiff, but as you can see, it has broken in very nicely. It features a banded collar as well as covered snaps, as well as a YKK zipper down the middle. It comes with 2 buttoned chest pockets, as well as 2 buttoned pockets here on the side. And if you're someone who likes to exercise your Second Amendment right, it does feature a quick access concealed carry pocket with a tapered holster for your firearm, as well as 2 spare magazines. But if you can't get the job done within that, it also features a second concealed pocket on the right side with the same holster, as well as magazine slots. On the inside, we have a nice, comfortable, breathable mesh lining, as well as slots on the back and the arms for CE rated armor. All this retails at $199.95. Stick around to the end of the video and I will have a 15% discount code for you guys. All right, so now that we're in a little bit closer, we're gonna go ahead and go through 5 categories. I'm gonna give them a score, 1 out of 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Everyone knows if you look good, you ride good. That's a fact, you can Google it. With that being said, our first category is style. And for this particular jacket, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I feel like this contrast between the denim and the leather is not only functional, but it does look pretty badass. I got some pictures with this jacket while I was test riding some Indians, and I have to say, GQ, you can hit me up anytime you want. With all jokes aside, guys, seriously, this is a very good looking jacket. All of the stitching is super nice, super clean. The materials are real, they are raw, they just work. Like I said, we're talking style and functionality, 10 out of 10. Next up is going to be function. Of course, you're not going to spend this kind of money on a jacket and not have the features that you want. Me being a YouTuber, I carry a bunch of shit on my person, on my bike. Everywhere I go, I have to have a bunch of crap, batteries, cables, cords, you name it. They're all going to be on my person or near me. And this jacket has everything I need. These pockets down here on the side are, I mean, pretty deep. They can fit my whole hand all the way to about right there. So just to give you an idea of how big those pockets are, they're pretty large. I've stuffed cables, recorders, card holders, everything, you name it. I haven't utilized these chest pockets that much just because I haven't had a need to. But they are super easy to get into, as I did test it out, and it's super easy to clip them back. Now I personally, I know I did the whole, pull the guns out of the jacket thing. I don't personally carry on the chest or on the body. I'm a holster guy, but if I was to need to carry on the jacket or on the breast area, this actually does do quite a good job. I will say getting the firearm in the holster is a little difficult just because of how it sits, but as you can see, maybe, it does have a tapered holster, so the barrel would be pointing towards me now. Got a nice stretchy material, and then down here you've got, like I said earlier, you've got 2 bungees for the magazines. I will say when I was wearing this just in the intro, that was really the first time I've worn it with the full shebang here. Although it was quite heavy, they were not banging around. Everything was nice and secure. Also, I like having the ability to get to this one without unzipping it. I like that a lot. I have used this pocket to store stuff for my videos and stuff like that. All of the buttons are very high quality. They snap together easily, they snap together tough and hard, they don't come undone. You really have to give them a nice tug for them to come undone. The zipper is super beefy. I mean, it's a YKK, which is a well-known brand of zippers. It's weird to say that there's a well-known brand of zippers, but it's a beefy, chunky zipper. I mean, you're not breaking that thing anytime soon. The zipper is also cut up about 3 inches from the bottom. That way, when you're in a sitting position, that's not, you know, cutting into your belly. It's got a little room to kind of split the bottom. That way, when you're in a riding position, you've got room down in the belly area. Unfortunately, on the function category, I have to give this a 9 just for this one particular reason. Down here on the wrist, I do want to point out before I get to that it does feature the mesh lining all the way down to the wrist, which is a nice feature. But the one thing I don't like is this zippered wrist area here. So you do have the option to tighten it up, and as you can see, it does tighten it up about 1 inch. But for me, I have pretty big wrist. I mean, fairly chunky wrist. Let me go ahead and slide this on real quick. Even with this zipped all the way up, I do have still quite a bit of room. And when I'm in a riding position, I have this, it'll pretty much catch air right here, and it just blows my arm hairs back, and it almost gets to the point where it hurts. In the winter, I wouldn't see that being a big problem because I'd have gauntlet gloves and I would be able to get gauntlet gloves over this. But in the summer, when you have that little area between your gloves and your jacket, it does get a little annoying. I would personally like to see some sort of option to tighten it kind of around the wrist this way and make it a little bit more adjustable as opposed to just the zipper. But it's a very minor inconvenience. And for someone who maybe has bigger wrists than me, might not have that issue. Moving on to category number 3, that's going to be comfort. And for comfort, this jacket is going to score a 9. I will say this jacket does fit true to size. There is a little extra room in the chest area, but for some reason, a lot of riding jackets that I have that issue. I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", 240 pounds. This is an XL. It does fit true, like I said, but for some reason, no matter what jacket I get from what company, I always have some room in the chest, which is funny because I mean, I've got some solid B cups going on here, so I don't know if it's just maybe my shoulders are a little bit more narrow or what it is, but I always have extra room in the chest, so I'm not going to discount them for that. The area that they did lose a point on is just because of the overall warmth. I live in South Texas, I live in San Antonio, so we get a lot of high temperatures. I've ridden it with this jacket from 55 degrees all the way up to about 95 degrees. I would say that my comfort level cuts off in this jacket cuts off at about 85 degrees. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten to ride colder than 55. We don't really get a lot of temperatures colder than that, but just out of jackets I've had in the past and things like that, I would say this jacket would be comfortable down into the low 40s, maybe even the 30s. If you can, you know, get past that wrist issue, because if wind was getting in there, that would get cold really quick. I will say though, the benefit of having that little gap in the wrist is it does shoot air into that and circulates up through the arms into the chest when you're at highway speeds, which is pretty nice when you're super sweaty and it's about 85 degrees. Also, the movability, like I kind of showcased in the beginning, at first, this stuff was very tough. It was very hard to move around, but literally within, I mean, I've only ridden this in this jacket probably a total of, I would say 40 hours. It's already broken in. Everything is nice and pliable. Moving around this jacket now is extremely easy. Moving on to category number 4, durability. Now, like I said, I've only got about 40 hours of riding time with this jacket, but that's well over 1,000 miles, most of that at highway speeds, and there's literally no signs of wear. I mean, besides there being bug guts splattered all over it, I don't see any signs of wear. No stitching has been frayed. Literally nothing on this jacket shows any sign of wear. Also, we're talking 100% real material. This is not pleather. This is not fake denim. This is all real stuff, which means that it can be conditioned. It can be cared for. Out of all my jackets that I own, if I had to absolutely pick one to go down in, it would be this one, even without armor in it. I do have a mesh jacket that has the CE armor in it. I'm using that in the summer. I have every intention on, once the winter comes around, taking that padding and putting it into this jacket. Like I mentioned earlier, it's got pockets for your CE padding, shoulders, back, pretty much everywhere where you could put CE padding. So because of all those things I just mentioned, I'm gonna have to give it another 10 in the durability category. And last but certainly not least is going to be the price category. Now I mentioned earlier, $199.95 is going to be your retail price for this jacket. And when taking everything into consideration, I'm looking at everything within the market, within the same style, genre, I have to give it a 10, guys. I cannot find another jacket that is featuring this level of materials at this price point. Hell, I even found one on Grunt Style for like $1,200. $200 is a lot of money to spend, but when you're talking about a jacket that you're gonna be able to use for years and years and years, you break that down price per year, it's really not bad. It's completely reasonable to spend that kind of money on something that you're gonna get that much use out of, and also might, you know, protect your ass in case of, you know, the worst. Just remember one thing that applies to a lot of things in life: quality isn't cheap and cheap isn't quality. Now, with all those categories added up, that gives this jacket a score of 48, or for those of you who are bad at math, 96%, which is, I think, the highest score that we've had on this channel. Now, I know you're chomping at the bit about that discount code I mentioned earlier. This discount code, I'm gonna go ahead and pop it up on the screen right now. Enter this code at checkout over at the First Manufacturing website. I'll go ahead and include a link down in the description. Enter that code and you're gonna get 15% off the entire site, not just this jacket. So if this isn't your style, you can go ahead and check out any of their jackets, vests, you name it. Use that code for 15% off your entire order. Well guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you liked this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. It does do a lot for the channel. If you haven't already, I highly suggest you punch that subscribe button. Go ahead and click that bell next to it too to make sure you don't miss anything. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.